Hello everyone and welcome to Farm Bureau's Voices of Agriculture. This week coming to you from the state of Mississippi. On the show this time, we visit the farms of the finalists of the 2012 Young Farmer and Rancher Achievement Awards. Plus, we'll have our Mississippi on the Menu segment with Nancy Freeman. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
When someone asks me why I'm a farmer, it's an easy answer. I love the land. I'm proud to be a Mississippi farmer because I know that the work that thousands of Mississippi farmers and I do is important. A safe food source is a national security issue. We cannot rely on other countries with contaminated air and water to provide our families with safe, nutritious food.
The farm families of Mississippi, growing safe, nutritious food for your family.
A row crop farmer from the Delta, a sweet potato farmer from northeast Mississippi, and a blueberry farmer from the southern part of the state. What do these farmers have in common? They all joined Farm Bureau, the most powerful and respected farm organization in Mississippi today. Farming draws its strength from the land and the people who work the land. Similarly, Farm Bureau's strength is at the grassroots level and the 82 county farm bureaus that make up the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation. This is where the most important work of Farm Bureau takes place, at the county level. Policy development and policy execution are what set Farm Bureau apart from many organizations. The best legislative influence comes from informed, concerned farm families communicating their beliefs to their elected representatives. Farm Bureau's role on both the state and national levels is to keep Farm Bureau members informed with good, factual information concerning Farm Bureau policies and farm issues. During the legislative sessions, regular reports on the status of agricultural bills affecting farm families are made available through the weekly newsletter, Capital Comments. Timely advice is given in these newsletters on action needed at a given time. Through the Farm Bureau structure, beginning at the county level and proceeding through the state and national levels, producers annually evaluate the problems of agriculture and rural living and make recommendations to formulate Farm Bureau policy. The Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation, leading, representing, and serving Mississippi agriculture. Each year, young farmers from across the state have the opportunity to win fabulous prizes in the Young Farmer Achievement Award contest. This year, 6 finalists were named, and the judging panel spent a good bit of time getting to know the finalists and learning about their operations. So why don't we do the same thing? Let's meet the finalists for the 2012 Mississippi Young Farmer and Rancher Achievement Award. Our first nominees are Clint and Tiffany Russell from Bolivar County. Clint is a row crop farmer from the Mississippi Delta.
We've got a 3,000 acre basically grain farm, rice, corn, and soybeans. I've been farming since about 1999 or so, and with my dad, and then when he passed away in 2001, I had the opportunity to continue the operation and chose to do so, and started out with about 1,400 acres at that point and have grown to 3,000 now.
Clint says that water management is the major issue facing farmers in the Delta.
We know that our water table is experiencing some difficulty, and we realize that if we don't do something about it now, in the future it's going to be too late. So, Farm Bureau, several organizations are getting together to try to come up with economically feasible ways for farmers to address that problem. And, I definitely agree with that and want to be part of the solution.
Keeping his machinery up to date has been one of the most important things that Clint does on his farm. Having newer and more precise planting equipment, using GPS technology, and purchasing larger, more efficient harvesting equipment have been the most significant investments to improve his farm. Despite what many people say, Clint thinks the public appreciates all the hard work a farmer does.
I think when they find out how hard we do work, yes, they do. They understand. They understand that we work hard just like anybody else that runs a business or has a job and works hard for somebody. Doesn't matter what you do. If you work hard, you're doing something good, and you can appreciate somebody else that works hard. And when they understand where their food comes from, the beginning of it, and how it gets to their plate at the table to feed their family, I think they do appreciate what we do.
Tiffany is a 4th grade language arts and science teacher in the community, and she's also an adjunct teacher at Delta State University. The Russells have 2 children, 9-year-old daughter Anna and 7-year-old son Colin. Our next nominee is Manuel Mata from Calhoun County. Manuel farms 200 acres of sweet potatoes near Bruce.
I started working for my dad as soon as I got out of college. I worked for him till 2010, and after 2010 I started on my own. I rented 200 acres in Big Creek. And ever since then I've been doing on my own. I continue to help my dad and everything. We've been together for about 4 years. I've been working since I was 12. He had me working on a tater setter, so I ain't no stranger to the game out here.
When he started farming, he used mostly his father's equipment, but in 2011 he bought his very first piece of equipment, and now he owns 4 and keeps them very busy during harvest season.
Well, it's really not hard. I mean, you just do what you got to do and plant them at the right time and then dig them at the right time, and then you can store them or we can wash them. And now, I mean, they got different products with sweet potatoes. They got patties, casseroles, French fries. They make a bunch of baby food. Anything you think of that's got sweet potatoes in it, it usually comes from here.
Even with 4 crews working, it takes several weeks to harvest 200 acres of sweet potatoes, and then
you can either store them or you can go ahead and we usually wash some straight out of the field, and we store the rest to cure them, which that sets the skin and develops all the sugars in the sweet potatoes, make them somewhat more sweeter than they are right now.
His father and business partner own a washing and packing shed where Manuel takes his potatoes after harvest. The 15 to 20 member crew carries out all the duties of sorting, cleaning, and packing the sweet potatoes for delivery. He says the biggest issue facing his industry right now is educating the public about the benefits of eating sweet potatoes.
People don't know that much about sweet potatoes. I mean, they're good for you, and I mean, they're just good to eat. If we can just market it better and get everybody to know what sweet potatoes are.
Manuel says he'd like to expand in the future by 100 acres or so because he really enjoys the business.
The operation is really kind of easy. I mean, you plant them, spray them, cultivate them, and dig them. That, you know, it's bam, bam, bam. It's no rocket science.
Our next nominees are Nicholas and Corey O'Neill from Sunflower County. Nicholas farms just outside of Chula near Horseshoe Lake.
We're currently farming about 1,300 acres, which this year we just had corn and soybeans. Our crop mix in the past has consisted of corn, cotton, soybeans, and rice, but with commodity prices, the corn and soybeans outweighed the cotton and rice this year.
The biggest change in his operation this year was to drop cotton and go to all grains. And because of the increase in grain production, he saw the need for more on-farm storage facilities. These grain bins give him the ability to store the majority of his crop and market that crop to his best advantage. Nicholas is also a big believer in using the latest technology to help him farm.
It's something that we've embraced because it's the norm, but you know, I think it's a lot bigger change for somebody like my dad than it is me, but just the technology of just a simple computer, being able to hit a few keys and pull up what you spent on a crop and know what you need to do next year, that's something that's a lot easier.
Keeping his farm sustainable is also a high priority.
We've got 3 tailwater recovery ponds, and we're capturing water off of probably about 75% of our acres and using that to irrigate probably 40% of our acres. You know, some people don't really see the impact of that, but every time it rains, that water that we've pumped out of a lake or reservoir, it gets replenished very quickly, and you know, we're saving that groundwater. We're not the biggest farmers in the world, but we are very passionate about what we do and try to take care of it so that we can be here for a long, long time.
Corey is a home health nurse in Greenwood, and the couple has 3 children, Mia, who is 8, 5-year-old Millie, and Jack, who is 2.5 months old. We'll be right back with the rest of the finalists right after these messages.
The day starts very early on a Mississippi farm. There are animals to be fed, clean water to be dispensed, lots of chores to be done.
I make a large investment in my animals, and I make sure that they're well fed and taken care of. That's not just smart business, that's the right thing to do.
The Farm Families of Mississippi, growing Mississippi's future.
Agriculture is Mississippi's #1 industry. There are more than 40,000 farms in the state, covering over 12 million acres that contribute over $6 billion directly to the Mississippi economy each year. The Mississippi Farm Bureau is the largest general farm organization in the state, with more than 200,000 member families in 82 county farm bureaus. It's a voluntary, non-governmental, nonpartisan organization of Mississippi families seeking solutions to problems that affect their lives both socially and economically. Farm Bureau is organized on the county, state, and national levels, but it's the County Farm Bureau that is the nucleus of the organization. It is here that members join by paying annual dues, which entitle them to a wide variety of programs and services. The policies that govern the organization are developed from grassroots recommendations originating in the county farm bureaus. These policies provide direction to the Farm Bureau staff, whose goal is to carry out the mission of Farm Bureau, which is to improve the quality of life for rural Mississippians. The Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation, leading, representing, and serving Mississippi agriculture. And welcome back to Voices of Agriculture. We're visiting with the finalists of the 2012 Mississippi Young Farmer and Rancher Achievement Award. Here are the rest of the finalists. Our next nominees are Scott and Leslie Canada from Hinds County. Scott is a cattle and row crop farmer near Edwards.
I've been on the farm full-time for 12 years now. With my parents in a partnership. Been farming all my life. This year I had 100 acres of wheat. I had 300 acres of corn. I had 300 acres of full-season soybeans and 100 acres of beans behind wheat. We also raised 200 beef cattle.
Urban sprawl has had a large impact on Scott's operation. Land values have nearly doubled since he started farming, and people have been moving out of major cities wanting to own a piece of property for recreational use. This has made it difficult to obtain a long-term lease on the farmland that is still available. But it's not just city folks that are snapping up property.
With the 5 years of good sustained commodity prices, there's a lot of people, renting up whatever little bit of land is available at extremely high rates. It's been a real problem. I've lost several acres over the last couple of years to some people out of the Delta, paying about 3 times what everybody else in this part of the country pays for land. They're paying that for rent.
Scott has designed and built many structures to ease the handling of his cattle. He built new exterior fences and then cross-fenced them to use the natural flow of the cattle in the evenings to lock them up for working the next morning. Scott has served Farm Bureau in many ways, including being featured in one of the Farm Families of Mississippi TV commercials.
Farming has been my family's business for 8 generations. I'm proud to be one of the Mississippi farmers who provides food to families that is safe, reliable, and affordable.
The Farm Families of Mississippi.
He is also scheduled to become County Farm Bureau President in 2014. His wife Leslie is a stay-at-home mom to the couple's daughters, 7-year-old Haley and 3-year-old Hayden. Next we have Glennis and Jana Brooks from Walthall County. Glennis runs a dairy farm south of Tylertown.
I'm a 3rd-generation dairy farmer. My dad, his grandfather, they always milked for another man. In 1993, my dad bought this dairy. We started out with like 116 acres and just a few cows milking. And then in February of this year, of 2012, I bought the dairy from my dad, and I'm currently milking about 95 cows and raising all my heifers.
Just before Hurricane Katrina hit in 2005, they remodeled the dairy barn.
Now we got a double 8 where we can milk 16 cows at a time. Then we upgraded our feed system where we buy the corn and the soybean and we mix it ourselves and mix our own minerals with it and everything. Get the ration like we want it. We know it's the same thing every time as long as we're doing it ourselves.
With help from the Extension Service and the Department of Agriculture, the new feed formula has increased the milk production of his herd.
They put on a lot of weight when we started feeding her, the ration day after day, the same feed. we've seen a better quality cow, which from there you get more milk production out of a better calf.
Glennis runs an electrical business that has expanded to doing a lot of commercial work, but his heart is on the dairy farm.
My nephew, he's kind of running the electrical business for me, so I'm kind of staying here more now since I bought the dairy. I might go to work with him an hour or two a day, and then I'm back here on the farm where my heart is.
Many of you might remember 2 years ago at this convention, Glennis and Jana were finalists in the YF&R Achievement Award contest when they got a call that their house was on fire.
Bill Pygott, our district manager, come and he called me himself. He's the one that broke the news to us. It wasn't nothing else to do but just drive home and face it, you know. It started from scratch. All we had was the clothes that we had up there with us, and Farm Bureau took us up an offering, and it sure helped out. We had to go that day and buy stuff that we needed. And without Farm Bureau, we would have never pulled through it.
They have plans to rebuild their house on the same slab as the old one. Glennis and Jana have 3 children, Kaylee, who is 13, 10-year-old Riley, and Alan, who is 5. Our final nominee is Matt Hudson from Stone County. Matt runs a cattle and soybean farm outside of Wiggins.
We've got a few mama cows, about 120 mama cows, and I've got about 100 head of calves that, you know, we precondition, and we'll buy them, you know, sometime during the summer, get them straight, and then, you know, we'll feed them until we get grass for them.
Matt is in the unusual position of being a first-generation farmer. His family never farmed or owned cattle.
We rodeoed. I used to rope calves, and I went to the, you know, to the high school national finals all 4 years, and I loved fooling with these cattle.
So he took some leftover scholarship money and bought 10 Holstein steers.
I was able to buy a few sets of, you know, a few mama cows, and I just kept turning them over and turning them over, and every little bit I made, I'd replace some. And I just kept working, you know, working up to where I'm at today. And it's, you know, I've been mighty, mighty fortunate.
After several years of doing pretty well with cattle, Matt decided he wanted to try his hand at raising soybeans.
It's worked out good. I mean, I planted 100 acres this year for my first time, and I hope to be able to plant 200 next year. Mighty fortunate. We got all the rain we needed, and we just started cutting them, and they're cutting excellent so far.
Matt says the biggest issue facing agriculture in his mind is the high price of inputs.
I would say the hardest thing is, you know, is the fuel and the fertilizer cost and things along those lines.
Starting a farming operation from scratch is a daunting task, but Matt says he's had plenty of support.
Well, I had some people that farmed back in the, you know, back in the day that was willing to help me. You know, I mean, with the knowledge part of it, to the do's and the don'ts. My family, they never had any cattle or anything. I mean, you know, my folks helped me do anything I, you know, ever wanted to do. I mean, they was a supporter all the way, but I never had any farming background, you know, prior to getting started on my own. That's for sure.
We'll be right back with the announcement of the winner right after this timeout. Stay with us.
I'm a Mississippi poultry and produce farmer. Safe, nutritious, affordable food is vitally important to the health of our families and our economy. We cannot put the safety of our food into the hands of countries with polluted air and water, unregulated pesticides, and chemicals. It's important to me that the food that we put on our dinner table is safe and nutritious. That's why I buy products that are grown in America, preferably in Mississippi.
The Farm Families of Mississippi.
Farm Bureau, a voluntary organization of farmers and ranchers, had its beginning with the county agricultural agents and the Extension Service in the early part of the 20th century. In time, county farm bureaus gave rise to state farm bureaus. A national organization, the American Farm Bureau Federation, was formed in Chicago in 1919. In those days, farmers had problems with marketing and monopolies. People living in rural areas felt they lacked equality with folks living in the cities. The goals then are the goals now, to improve farm income and rural life. The Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation strives to meet these goals by offering our members many different programs and services, such as public policy development, young farmer leadership development, safety education, and many others. Every Farm Bureau member receives our bi-monthly magazine, Mississippi Farm Country. In every issue, you can read about the latest news in farm production, interesting articles about rural Mississippi, Farm Bureau organization news, even a Solve the Mystery challenge. You can also learn all about the extra benefits that you can take advantage of just by being a Farm Bureau member. The Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation, leading, representing, and serving Mississippi agriculture. We have visited all the finalists for the 2012 Mississippi Young Farmer and Rancher Achievement Award, but before we see who took home the award, let's take a look at the prize package that the winner receives. I think you'll agree that it's a very generous package, and it's one of the best prize packages in the country for the Achievement Award. The winner receives a full-size pickup truck courtesy of Southern Farm Bureau Casualty Insurance Company, $500 cash courtesy of Ford, 100 hours use of a John Deere tractor, 250 hours use of a Kubota tractor, $1,800 toward the purchase of technology from Mississippi Farm Bureau, and an all-expense-paid trip to the American Farm Bureau Federation Convention representing Mississippi in the National Young Farmer and Rancher Achievement Award competition. So let's find out the winner of the 2012 Mississippi Young Farmer and Rancher Achievement Award.
Your 2012 Mississippi Farm Bureau Young Farmer and Rancher Achievement Award winner is
Scott Canada.
Thank you. Whoa, that's loud. First of all, I have to thank God for placing me in a country where we are free to farm and do the job that we love. I have to thank my family for putting up with the long hours and the highs and the lows that I go through every day. I have to thank my parents and my grandparents who came before me and made it possible for me to do what I do. I wrote some stuff down so I wouldn't forget. Just in case. I have to thank Southern Farm Bureau Casualty and Ford for the truck. I'd like to thank John Deere and Kubota for the use of the tractor, and Southern Ag Credit and Southern Farm Bureau Casualty for the prize money to all the regional winners. I'd like to thank all the Farm Bureau family here. Most of you know me. I've been around a little while now. I'd like to thank everybody that has supported me and taught me everything that I've learned about Farm Bureau. There's one person in particular I have to thank, a retired regional manager back there who started me on this process with this award. And I was happy on the farm doing nothing, and he said, I got a contest where you can win a new truck, and got my attention. And that's what started it, and as I got involved and more involved, I learned what Farm Bureau was really about and how important it is to our livelihood and everything to do with this state. Whether you're a farmer or not, there's nobody that is more important to this state than Mississippi Farm Bureau. And thank you all.
Congratulations to Scott and Leslie. Now it's time for our Mississippi on the Menu segment with our home economist, Nancy Freeman.
Beef, it is what's for dinner, and we're proud of it here in Mississippi with our 17,000 families that grow it for their table and for yours. Last year alone, our beef producers brought in $329 million worth of value to our state's economy. You know, beef is great for your meals. When you're looking for beef, look for something that's lean, and all the processed beef out there is done in the best form that it can be done. You want it nice and fresh, and don't work it too much, because as you work with ground beef, it toughens it. So just work with it a little bit. Today I've got a great recipe, and it's for taco beef soup. You know, this kind of soup makes a great meal, hearty, all together. I love things that are in one dish. This simple dish is made by starting out with some canned tomatoes. We're going to use a large can of tomatoes in their own juice. We're going to add to that a can of corn. I've used shoe peg. You can use whatever kind you like. Some tomato sauce, some kidney beans, maybe you like black beans, whichever your preference is, a large onion, and then a little bit of taco seasoning. And you can use the low sodium varieties as well. They're easy to use, and you just mix it all together with a little bit of water. Now I put about 4 cups of water. This takes about an hour to cook, and just you want it to blend the flavors together really well. And the nice thing about this is it can also be done in a slow cooker. So if you want to put it in a slow cooker, put it on, takes about 4, maybe 5 hours on low. Perfect to come in at the end of the day. So when you come in and you're ready for your Mississippi beef dinner, you want to take it, ladle it up a little bit. Boy, does that look good and inviting. And you want to put a few toppers on it, you can. Add a little bit of corn chips, a little bit of sour cream, and you've got a real taco dinner treat and pleasure that your family is going to be sure to enjoy and to love. You want to check us out at our website at www.growingmississippi.org for this recipe and lots of other tips on Mississippi beef. Thanks for joining us today.
And that's all the time we have for this edition of Voices of Agriculture. We hope you've enjoyed the show and will be with us again next time. For all of us here at the Mississippi Farm Bureau, thanks for watching.